Welcome to Comic and Screen. I'm Sam Otten. I'm joined by Jason Book from houseofjb.blogspot.ca. Jason, thanks for coming.
Hey, anytime, Sam.
We're going to be talking about Constantine, which is off to the start here on Friday nights on NBC. There are 3 episodes in, so we're going to just kind of talk about the series overall to this point. It's starring Matt Ryan. It's developed by David Goyer and some other folks. And just to recap the 3 episodes really quickly, the first episode was basically the demon, which was after the daughter of Constantine's friend. Then we had the mining episode in the mining town, and then we had the most recent episode, which was about the recording studio and the kind of the deal with the devil, and the devil's voice ending up recorded onto an LP. So let me go to Jason. So Jason, what are your impressions of the show so far?
Well, first of all, I have read the odd issue of Hellblazer, and I know that it's a more adult-oriented series. So that was my first thing. I was kind of concerned about watching this because it seems to me this would be more tailored to be an HBO-type show where they wouldn't have to worry about kind of how they're going to do this on a Friday night on NBC.
Yeah, or like even the smoking. So like they've
Yeah.
gotten pretty clever about handling the smoking. Like he pulls out the cigarette, but he doesn't light it, or
Yeah.
something interrupts him. Or sometimes they'll have kind of smoke on the screen, but they don't actually show him smoking.
Right. And I thought, well, maybe they'll do that thing like they did, I think, in one series where they actually said that, he used to smoke and he got something wrong with him from it, so that's why he doesn't anymore. But anyways, what the show has done well is like they really nailed the look of the character. Like it's walked off of a cover by Tim Bradstreet or something like that. It looks great. The supporting cast, I'm kind of like, it feels kind of like they're trying to make it like other shows, like Supernatural or something like that. But the parts with Constantine being like Constantine, talking about British punk rock and like his certain characterizations that ring true, those I really enjoy. I do like the standalone kind of way the show can be for each episode, because being a music fan, I really enjoyed the aspect of musical history in this episode about the blues and kind of the satanic or demonic properties of this old recording. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Couple kinks I think the show needs to work out.
hmm Yeah, like you mentioned, the supporting cast. So they switched the female kind of co-star in the pilot. They actually left her behind, and they brought in Zed instead, which is Angelica Saleya, I think it is.
Okay.
I think her character is interesting because she makes a nice foil to Constantine. Because I agree, Matt Ryan as Constantine has been pretty great so far, and I think a really good representation of the character. And then Zed with him, I think they've played off each other pretty well. But there's still this kind of big question of like, can we actually trust Zed? Does she actually have something else going on? And she's really kind of a mystery. So it's interesting that she's kind of, she has these abilities, and so then Constantine brings her in to kind of, use her powers. But, there's some pretty clear evidence that we shouldn't really trust her. And so I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with that over the long haul. The Chaz character, I feel like they need to do something with him pretty quick, because so far I feel like he hasn't really had much room to shine or to grow.
Yeah, he almost feels like someone just for him to talk to or something, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think they must have a plan for him, but they better put that plan in action pretty quick, because like episode 1, he was kind of there but didn't get to do a lot. Episode 2, he wasn't even really there very much. Episode 3, he's back around, but again, he didn't really get any scenes to kind of develop or showcase him.
Yeah.
So hopefully right around the corner they can develop Chaz. But in terms of, their first goal was probably to establish Constantine.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. He's a good characterization. I enjoy watching him. I think he's, a good lead. I think he can carry the show. He's got that sarcastic quality. He's got, the rapid fire stuff that he brings in.
Yeah.
And he seems to have a lot of life to him as a character. So establishing the lead, I feel like they have done, which is the first thing they needed to do. Now they need to kind of work on some of these other supporting characters and develop them a little bit more.
Yeah. Did you ever read the comic at all?
I checked out, so like in New 52, I picked up the first issues just to kind of see what it looked like and how they were kind of reimagining it.
Right.
And I felt like in New 52, Constantine was not really one of the characters that they've vastly reimagined.
No.
So I think the New 52 Constantine is pretty true to the Hellblazer, and I feel like this show, if you're a comic book fan of Constantine, I think you should be pretty happy with the show, because as far as shows go, they're staying, I think, pretty close to the comic book material.
Yeah. Like for me,
at least, in terms of style and look and that kind
right.
of thing.
Like for me, one thing that was really good about the comic that they could easily do on TV is that in a lot of the comics, the only reoccurring character, except for the odd things, we'll get into the angel guy and that, would be Constantine, and it's actually a
Right.
perfect idea for a show because he would always go
Yeah.
to different cities and investigate, and
Yep.
it's how he played off these different people every week. Like one week it would be someone who would be someone you think he would hang around with, another week would be like someone completely opposite, and they really can capture that, I think, in the show with kind of depending on what crimes he's investigating and things like that.
Yeah, it's very episodic in nature, so it seems like it does lend itself well to a show. And so far, I think it's off to a good start. Like, I liked how the second episode, the third episode, they had this kind of parallelism of, oh, we start with this kind of family, and then something kind of demonic or something kind of horrible goes wrong, and then Constantine kind of comes in, to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So it seems like it fits really well with a TV show type of style,
Yeah, and what
in
they
terms of
do,
the storytelling.
yeah, and what they do with the occult stuff, as long as it stays within good special effects for the budgets they have, because you know what that's like if you're watching something and it's meant to be kind of scary or spooky, and if something really cheesy happens that it doesn't really look authentic for what they're trying to do, that'll take you right out of the story. So as long as they're smart like that with the special effects, I think it'll work well.
Yeah, and so I like, I'm not a big horror fan, but I like stuff that's kind of, demonic or mystical or kind of like explores religious kind of things.
Sure.
I'm a fan of that kind of stuff.
Cool.
But I was afraid that with like a television budget that it, wasn't really going to look that great.
Yeah.
So I was kind of checking out this show, not sure if I was really going to stay with it, but I've actually been more happy with it than I expected. I've liked it better than I thought. Papa Midnight, I thought, is a cool character, and he's definitely going to be around, I think, for a bit. They established him where I think he's going to pop in and out from episode to episode.
Yeah, and I like the angel character too.
Yeah, he's kind of intriguing. He's kind of there to remind us that there's something bigger that's going on. So again, that gives it kind of an overall story, not just a week to week. I mean, I think the week to week stuff is good, but it's also nice to have a larger arc going on. And
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
the Manny Angel, I think, kind of serves that. I also hear there's the Spectre is going to be coming in as a kind of a semi-regular
Cool.
character. So that'll be pretty cool to see.
Probably just as Jim Corrigan, not like the full out hood Spectre, eh?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm really curious. He'll definitely probably start as Jim Corrigan, but
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to go Spectre at some point. I don't know what their
Ooh,
plan
wow.
is for it.
That'd be pretty cool.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, it's all kind of rumor and stuff. But
Yeah.
and I'm also curious to see how they do. Keep it. I mean, it's late at night, so it's 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
But they still can't get away with anything. So how are they going to kind of keep it, somewhat broadcast, friendly?
Yeah, I would say the one thing that gives me a little hope on that is that if you watch some of these cop shows on TV now, like the CSI type shows and stuff, they really can show a lot more than they used to. So maybe with some clever editing, they'll be okay,
Right. I wonder if they're gonna like touch on the bisexuality at all, because that's one thing in the comics that has been sort of hinted at and even kind of shown in the comics, and I wonder if they're going to touch that at all in the TV show, if they're going to kind of stay away from the sexuality aspect of it.
Oh, you mean of Constantine himself? I didn't know that.
Of Constantine,
Really?
yeah. There's
I think it just
I
depended,
haven't read the episodes, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I
from
think
the
it just
comics.
depended who was writing them, because I think like the ones that I've read, it was never really kind of
Right.
Maybe it was hinted, I didn't get it, but I think that was a lot of the writers that worked on him, like Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison and what's his name, Warren Ellis and stuff. Those are real forward-thinking writers, so they kind of probably just put their own spin on a lot of it. But yeah, for mainstream NBC, I don't know if they would handle that, eh?
Right. Definitely not. I think if they do, it'll be way down the road once they've already kind of established it as a show that's pretty safe.
Yeah, maybe they'll just do the thing that a lot of these comic shows have done, is to keep the fans happy. You have one line of dialogue that doesn't say that he never was, and then it doesn't go against it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Constantine, 3 episodes in, their ratings have been around the 4 million to 3 million. It dropped 30% from episode 1 to episode 2, which is actually not that bad because your premiere is always a little bit higher.
Sure.
Then from episode 2 to episode 3, it actually ticked back up slightly. So it seems like it's stabilizing in like the 3 million range, which for a late night, Friday night, I don't think it's too bad. So I'm hoping that NBC is happy with the ratings and will hopefully pick up the show. And then we can keep all these DC shows on the air.
Yeah, it's a pretty great time, isn't it?
Definitely. So, all right. Thanks for talking with me about it.
For sure.